All right, so welcome back to Couch Talk. This is episode something. I'm never gonna number these when I record them, but you guys already know Jade, and we're back again. It's been about 3 years since our first episode. I'm just kidding. It's been about 2 or 3 days, but you guys don't know that, but you do now. Today is just another episode of randomness. Did some different camera things based off of suggestions. Did a few different things with audio. So we're gonna see how this goes today. And today we're gonna start. We're gonna start because you guys know that this is not laid out. There's no script. There's no like notes. There's no like, oh, we're gonna do it this way, this way, this way. So today I have my first question is going to be social media. Do you think, I guess, like, how do you view like being viewed on social media? Like, what do you, when you're like, okay, when you post something, do you like really give a shit about it, or are you just posting that post?
I think I have a split between both, and it's a matter of which one I'm giving my attention to because, you gotta fake it till you make it. I feel like anyone starting out, especially it's something new. Like every time that you post something, especially if you like have never posted before or posted in a way that you're starting to, whether you're like gonna start blogging every day, showing what you do day to day, everyone's nervous in the beginning. You know? And you just gotta push yourself to feel comfortable and be like, do I really care what other people think? Because there are billions of people in the world. If you're spending all day worrying about what every single one of those individuals is thinking, and you want to like not upset anyone or piss anyone off, what if you're spending your entire life thinking of other people, and it's good to think of yourself.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's literally what you think of yourself. So as long as what you're posting, you're happy with, you enjoy it, there's going to be people that enjoy it as well. And those are going to be the ones gravitating towards you.
Yeah, you said two things that like really made a lot of sense for me. And one was like talking about like pissing people off. Like, you cannot make everybody happy on the internet.
Right.
And I think like we talked about this in the first episode. I'm probably going to talk about this like in a lot of different episodes. A reason that I'm doing this podcast is because I this is part of what I offer in my business, is doing this for other people and producing this for other people. But I also do like social media management and stuff like that. So for me, one of the biggest things I always tell people is like, if you don't have thick skin, don't read the comments. Like, you have to post, you have to be on there, and you have to do social listening, but like only listen, like you can listen to the negative things if it's like constructively negative, like, because constructive criticism isn't negative, it's just constructive. But like if I go on there and someone's like, oh, you're fat, okay, cool, like you can't let that kind of stuff bother
Right.
you. You can't go and read that stuff. So it's hard because you have to listen, and you do have to read the comments. But if you don't have thick skin, then
Yeah.
you're just on there. You're on there reading all this stuff, and you're getting upset about it. And then like another thing you said was just like, oh man, I completely lost it. That's the ADHD. But I think it's important to like not care too much about what's going on. Like, you have to care because it depends, like, to like, there's a lot of people that are like doing something like this. I could care. I want people to like it and enjoy it, but if there's only 50 people ever that like it and enjoy it, I hope those 50 people
Those
keep
are
coming
our
back.
people.
Yeah, those are the people that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks guys for watching this. If it grows to like 1 million people listening to it or whatever, like, that's also cool. So like, I don't really care necessarily in that aspect. I care about people's feedback if like they liked the episode.
Yeah.
Or X, Y, and Z. I don't care like if negative comments or whatever. That's at the end of the day, like, the internet has made it very safe for people to say mean things
Anonymously.
Yeah. Or even not anonymously.
But yeah.
But they can do it behind a screen. But that is where, and we're gonna just pivot to this. So we had a whole conversation before this. Jade came up with like a really cool topic, and this really actually though, I'm gonna actually I know we had a plan for this, but Jade came up with what was it? What was it?
Fuck around Fridays.
Fuck around Fridays. And this topic, now that makes me think about it, turns into like people saying stuff on the internet because they don't think they fuck around with it, and they don't think they're gonna find out. But little do they know, like sometimes they find out. Like I've pressed people in person, and like I'm not saying this to be like tough or like,
Right.
oh I'm a badass, but it's that social media stuff
Yeah.
where people say some stuff on the internet where their dicks are fucking 10 inches bigger online. Their
The
balls,
keyboard warriors.
yeah, the keyboard warriors. Their ball,
Yep.
and I used to do MMA back in the day. Like I've done all that. Like I'm 34 now almost, so like I'm not gonna press you what you say onto the internet unless you say some off the wall stuff.
Right.
Like I have a few like key things. Like if you say like I don't care, I'm gonna hit you when I see you. But it's funny that like we talked about that before we started recording, and as we're talking about this first topic, I was like, oh shit, this fucking transitions perfectly. It transitions perfectly into the whole conversation. But my next thing about social media is cancel culture.
Yeah.
For me, I listened to, I think it was Andrew Schultz on a stand-up like special like on Netflix or maybe a YouTube special, but he talked about like only being able to like cancel yourself. And I think I'm like 50-50 on cancel culture. Like I think some people 100% should be like cancel cultured. Um, and I'm not gonna get like to like the specifics of who and whys.
Right.
But like there's also some people that like can like you can redeem yourself, right? Like there's a category of people in the world that you shouldn't be able to redeem yourself. And but like also there's like a category of people like, okay, maybe I made a mistake. And also the other thing too is like you don't know everybody's story.
Right.
If you didn't get the story from me or from like an actual factual information, and you just like I'm like people like social media, people will post like, oh my god, did like Shane did this or Jade did this, and it's like, well, you heard that. Ask me about it, and then you build. Like, don't get your facts from people on the internet. Get your facts from like everything. And so like that weird cancel culture is like, oh, I heard this about you. Like let's like fuck your whole like let's mess you up. To me, that's weird. What do you think about like cancel culture as a whole?
I do agree with the you can only really cancel yourself. Because if you're posting in the sense that you enjoy what you're posting, or you're doing things in a way that, for whatever reason, is authentic to you, if people are going to sit there and hate on it, and it's a substantial amount that could, you would normally see with the current cancel culture when people rally together to get someone off the internet, but actually, for example, there's this one TikTok person that I've never followed, but I've always seen people talk about her. And I'm not going to get into details of
Yeah,
names
yeah.
or anything, but like, in a sense, people have banded together and found some things related to her from in the past, and because of it, they want to cancel her. I kind of agree, kind of, just once again, not going to get into those details.
Yeah.
But the thing is she's still posting. She's not paying attention to it. She's not
Yeah.
addressing it like directly or anything. And she's almost mocking at it. Like
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
stopping her from posting what she wants to post and doing these
Yeah.
things that people are like, and they're dumbfounded too, because they're like, why aren't you paying attention to this that's happening right now? Like we're coming for you. Your world's gonna end.
Yeah.
And you're like, they
No.
think that she's crazy and delusional.
Yeah.
I think it could be strategic.
Yeah, no, it's funny because like in the gaming space, and I will name drop this person, he'll never see this or whatever, but in the gaming space, Doctor Disrespect. I don't know if you know who that is.
I don't.
No, so he's a big like he's in there with like the ninjas, the Tim the Tatmans. Like he's in the massive like 1%ers of like the esports like gaming streaming world, right? He had like a big incident like a few years ago, and no one really knew what happened. He got banned off of Twitch. He was on YouTube. He was killing it, and like at some point this year, some information came out that he was, quote unquote, inappropriately messaging a minor on Twitch whispers. Now those are never like the facts of it have never really been released. There's just been a lot of stuff, you know what I mean?
Said about it.
Said about it. He's made some comments, like some tweets that like you read and you're like, oh bro, I don't know if you should have said that, like how he tweeted it. So there's a lot of information with it. If you guys are curious about all that, go look it up on Twitter or on X or whatever. Go look it all up. I'm not gonna get into it, but the point of it is like, I don't know if he's guilty or not.
Right.
Like if he I don't really consume a lot of his content, but every now and again I watch a little bit of it. If he is like a pedo, like I don't support him, you know what I mean?
Right.
But at the end of the day, like I don't know the facts, and I don't know really how to lean to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole point of it is like, so like I'm just one person.
Right.
But like right now, if he's probably on YouTube, like I can probably look right now and see if he's live. If he's live, I almost guarantee you that he has at least, he was live yesterday, and he had probably, yesterday he had 441,000 views in a 7-hour stream.
That's crazy.
At any given time, he had 25,000 people watching him. Probably 2% of those people were donating money to him, so he probably made yesterday in 8 hours, just off of donations of people like us giving him money. He probably made $2,000 to $5,000 of that.
Right.
So after all of these things, after massively being blown up on the internet,
He's still doing his
he's
thing.
still not canceled, right?
Yeah.
Like if you look at, like, my opinion, like Bill Cosby, like maybe he did some fucking wild fucked up shit back in the 60s, 70s, 80s with Quaaludes. But people still listen to him and watch him, right?
Right. The show's still being played.
Yeah, the Donald Trump. Not I don't care about politics one bit, but 39 felonies later, and he is our president elect. Like, so there was enough of America to be like, oh, dude, I don't care.
Right.
Now that's a whole other crazy wild topic, but it just proves that like you really can only fuck yourself up. Like if you want to climb the mountain to like be successful or like whatever that mountain looks like for you, like you really can only cancel yourself. And to get out of like the deep and like the heavy, like I think that goes into relationships and like dating. It's like if I see you out at the bar and I want to talk to you, you can like you at the end of the day, like you're gonna be like you could be not interested, but like I can only stop myself from even starting it.
Right.
Like you're not going to stop me from like coming up to you because you don't know that I want to do that yet.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what I mean by that. Let's not get weird, but like if you're sitting there and I'm like, oh my god, I'm across the bar, like you're not gonna telepathically be like, oh my god, I think he's like. So in that situation, people get so scared to like approach people and like because they have like they make this it's called catastrophizing.
You just expect it the worst.
Well, so in the Army, any of you guys in like that are in the military that know this, MRT training, catastrophizing is a big thing. I'm bad about it, but I know how to like I've gotten better at dealing with it. But that's what they do. Like I remember being at the bar before I got my confidence. Really, when the confidence was like these tattoos and the beard and just life experience. But I got to that point where I would be like, oh, dude, there's no way.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's like I've actually talked to a lot of girls like that I have made friends with now, like that I'm friends with, but like in the past I was like I really wanted to talk to, and they're like, dude, you should have shot your shot. but then it's like you in your head you're like, dude, there's no way. You like make all these things up, and that ties into like the cancel culture thing.
Well, yeah, it's your confidence in yourself. Like, how are you viewing yourself? Do you think that if you go post it or go and talk to her, is it going to go your way? And you just have to like lean more towards this is what's going to happen. Because I also think that we kind of like bring forth what we want, you know, almost manifestation. If you're sitting there thinking this is what's going to happen, I'm going to post this, no one's going to look at it. Like, you're going to carry that lack of confidence when you're making the content or when you're speaking to that person you're introducing yourself to, and they're going to see that. And you just, as long as you're doing something authentically you, because once again, like we said, there's billions of people in the world and the internet is wide. There's so many different groups out there that it's like, okay, you're canceled from this group over here.
Yeah.
You could still find a million other people who like something else that you're interested in as well, or that you're doing.
You know, it's funny that we like talk about groups. I went to SCAD from 2020, like the beginning of 21 to like the mid of 2022, almost the end. And that is a melting pot. I know you're pretty new here to like Savannah in the area.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're familiar with SCAD a little bit, like the
Yeah.
art school downtown.
Especially door dashing on the weekends.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like a big thing, SCAD is like the variety of different groups, and I think like the funniest group that I found, not funniest, like I don't have anything against them, but was like the furries, right?
Yeah.
So I was single at the time and like just kind of I'm going to school, right? I just transitioned out of like the military life. I'm going through like a separation. Like I'm just getting back on my feet as a and I just turned 30, like I'm 30, like I'm a vet. I'm all these things in life and I'm going to SCAD, which like there is more of than just, you know, I was not the only one, but like
Right.
me as like who I am, like man wise and like person wise, is a very small percentage at SCAD. Being a straight male at SCAD and being like rough around the edges and all that is a very small percentage of us.
Yeah.
So that was weird for me already. So then I dive into like I'm dating or whatever. I meet this girl, and there's no signs of like furry or anything off the rip. So like obviously like spoiler, she turns out to be a furry. But so I go to pick her up from her dorm. I live in a house, like I'm being an adult, right? So I'm obviously not in the dorm.
Right.
So I pick her up, and she gets into my car, and she has this giant fox head on, fox paws, and fox feet. And I was like, fuck me. What the fuck am I getting myself into? But that story just popped in my head because like talking about like you talking about like the different groups. There's so many different people in this world that are like into just so many different things that like, and then like take it back to like being in high school. I know for me, like we had like farmers, we had like the black kids, we had like the nerds, we had like the sports. Like it was pretty like there was like not a lot, but there was still enough groups back in the day. Like you had the band kids. Like nowadays though, like the groups could be like I think there's like different versions of like nerds. Like there's like there's like
It's what are you into?
yeah, it's like there's like the smart like the book like the nerds that are like just book nerds who like have like 5.0 GPAs. But then there's like the Dungeons and Dragons nerds, and then there's like the nerds that like
The Marvel nerds.
yeah, like but like then sometimes they don't all like each other. So it's like there's always a group for people.
Oh yeah.
Like I know one of the groups that like this is gonna probably be that well not probably that will be posted to is like the Fort Stewart After Dark, and I think is that where you found me or the Savannah Hustlers.
The Hustlers.
So that's funny though because those are way two different groups, right? Fort Stewart After Dark is like a military page with mostly like people that are either active duty, spouses, or like vets. I don't even know how I got into it, but like those people, and you know, right? Your husband is a vet, right? Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you know how like that world is. So like that world is like vet like military world, fucking wildly like wild ass people, and then Savannah Hustlers is kind of like that. Like really, what it is, people just trying to make it out here, live, grind. And it's just in different people. So like when those two people, I've really only been posting in those two people or those two places to find guests and to promote it because like I feel like those are like the two groups on Facebook at least that I know are like the people that I'm targeting. Like the
ones that will be like, yeah, I'm here for it. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm out there.
Yeah, like I'm here for it to listen to it, and I'm either here for it to listen to it, I'm here for it to join, or both. Like there's tons of groups on the internet, like on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
But like a lot of them, I'm like, if you find this cool, I don't really care. But there's also like there's like a Savannah Connection page, but it's like way more like judgmentally type people, and I'm like I don't need you watching this or being like saying some stupid ass shit because then I'm gonna have to just cuss you out.
Right.
So like these two groups like primarily I found, and like I said, like at the end of the day, this is me practicing and meeting and having fun. Like you're back in this is a week new, and you're back for another episode.
Yep.
We have a very very fun episode planned for next week. I don't even know when this will pop out, but we have another episode planned. That could be a catastrophe or a celebration. It's probably going to be a celebration, but it could be a catastrophe if we decide to get up and walk around in that back area. So we got to make sure we only walk this way. Oh my god, hints. But yeah, I just those two topics, like when I was scrolling my little topic list, really made me kind of just think about like this whole thing in general. I know a lot of people like I've talked to about doing this have been like, well, what are the topics? And I'm like, um, nothing really crazy. But then I think about it, and I'm like, some of the shit we're talking about
Mhm.
is like shit that like some people don't want to talk about on the internet,
Right.
or like they feel like you maybe they can't talk about because like what they might have going on, and I respect that, and that's
Right.
why I'm like, hey, this could go from like I would say like PG-13. Like I would never let any of my I wouldn't let my kids watch this.
Oh yeah, my
Uh,
son knew about it, and I told him, I'm like, you're not allowed to watch it, baby. He's like, why? I'm like, because you're just not old enough.
yeah, and then like I was saying is like I was like I'm like PG-13. Like I would maybe like let a six like if I had a 16-year-old kid, I'd probably like let my 16-year-old kid watch it because at 16 like you're gonna probably know about like
A
most
lot more
yeah
than.
a lot more. I mean, and that's just like that's that at the end of the day is like parenting, but like that's why I try to tell people like once I get into the gritty of like you really seem interested, then I'm gonna be like, hey, this could go from like PG-13, but it could also go from like to like some like adult type like
Hmm.
language and content. And it's like I've had people like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, what if fucking we get to this conversation and I'm like, have you ever had your ass fucking eaten on the back of a bus? I don't know. Like, yeah, but it's just like,
It's a ping pong conversation, so it's like one topic to the next. You don't
and
know where it's going.
well, we don't know where it's going, and I don't want there. I've done podcasts where like there's like a plan and like a layout. I produce enough of those of like where there's a structure. I know that I I just necessarily didn't want this to be that kind of structure to where like we have these notes, we have to stay on those topics. Um, it makes this easier for me to do all of this extra stuff, and I think we talked about like the one two like adding extra guests. Like it's
Yeah.
easier to manage one person. Um, it'd be really hard to manage two extra people or
Yeah.
one extra person and have like a script. And so like as I tell people, I'm like, listen, this conversation could get wild,
Hmm.
but I want you to know that because it's going to get posted. And if you have something in life where you're like, I don't want my boss to see this, then maybe you probably shouldn't come on, or at least let me know that ahead of time, so we can mild the conversation.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's like what we talked in the last episode of transparency and setting boundaries. Like,
yeah, yeah.
however you want to go about it, whatever topics you like, if you can't think of what you want to talk about, think of what you don't want to talk
And
about.
yeah, and I've asked that question. I'm like, hey, what are you open to talk about? And like the I have like a generated list of ideas that like I put in some like parameters into ChatGPT, and I was like, hey,
Hmm.
this is what like give me like a baseline. So like that's my baseline of like random kind of like closeness,
Hmm.
and people are like, oh, okay. I'm like, what do you like? I'm like, what is your? And I probably asked you like, hey, what is you? And I think you said like politics and pedophiles. I think that's what you said, but that's fair, right? Let's
Yeah.
not get into like hardcore politics conversation, and that's not even what this is about. So it makes that easy. So I think it's an easy question to ask of like I don't think like every conversation doesn't have to be sexual, but like in the world of like adult
Hmm.
and funny ass fucked up after dark fucking wildly dark humored adults,
Yeah.
sexual innuendos come up all the time.
Oh
But
yeah.
if it's like something that bothers you and I know that perhaps or I tell you like hey you don't say this, I'm pretty open. So like there's really the shit that you would say to me here, I would know well enough beforehand for me inviting you that you would probably say that.
Right.
So it would never get to that point. But like for me, it's like I just want to make anyone come over, male or female, that comes to my house. I want to make sure that like our conversation doesn't end with like now we're like both sitting here like
Yeah. Well, you want it to be good. You want it to have fun, be a good experience, and
people and want people to listen to it.
yeah.
Like I don't want them to come on here and be like, what the fuck is this like? What is this
Like
conversation?
you don't want it
But
to
it's
be
also
like
relatable.
a show where you're sitting there and you got people coming on thinking that they're going to get mad or upset
Yeah.
while here, or people watching.
Well, the people watching necessarily are like, that's like I've added like the disclaimers above it was like there is
Yeah.
that possibility, and I'll probably just put that in front of everyone, just because
So that way they know,
like his adult
you
like
don't watch this around your kid if you don't want them hearing
yeah
things.
hearing those kind of things or just like adult content to a lot of people could mean different things. I think my target audience is gonna be fine with most of this stuff, but like I'm just like putting that up there like you might hear us talking about like drugs, sex, violence, whatever,
Yeah.
real life fucking shit.
Yeah.
Some people haven't been through that shit. I get it.
There's people that won't let their kids watch the news. You know, it would be the same
Fuck you. I don't
thing.
even
It's
know.
just because
Yeah.
it's whatever, you don't know what is gonna exactly being said, but you know enough that you don't want your kids, hey mom, what's that? What are they talking about? Like,
Yeah.
what's booger sugar? Like,
Well, but then it's like I don't want people on here to know that like this is not like gonna be a family friendly conversation.
Right.
Like
it's not a morning talk show.
Yeah, the purpose. Yeah, like you know, the purpose of this whole entire thing is like the raw, blunt, say whatever you want to say things like, and that's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so like there's that blunt, there's that like the boundaries, the upfront conversation of like everybody knows what they're getting into, like these people know what they're getting into when they listen and listen to it. And I think that the target audience of where the content's being pushed to, like I can't control where it goes when it's on YouTube and who it gets in front of, but I can control of like where I post and who gets links. I can't control who you give a link to,
Right.
but at the end of the day, like that's then your responsibility and no longer my responsibility. I did everything on my part, and that's with any content though. That's anybody's content where they have to. Once I know who my target audience is and I produce and put it out,
Right.
at the end of the day, like if you share it, well, hopefully you're not sharing it to your pastor or your
But
mom.
also, put shit out there that you're 100% behind. Be 100% behind yourself. Because,
Oh yeah,
like we've mentioned before, anything you put out there, anyone could find it. It just takes people wanting to, and people online have become better than the FBI. It's insane.
Yeah, especially you women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just.
Well, no, it's funny. No, it's funny that you like that we're talking about this because I know like we had some like our first episode was 47 minutes long, so it was really long. But then I had another one that I've done, and it was like 15 minutes. I just uploaded it, so it should be actually probably live now. It's definitely live by the time this gets up here, but I was uploading it before you got here. And we talked about some like pretty wild stuff too, and I'm like, a lot of this for some people will be the first time hearing it come out of my mouth from me. Like a lot of stuff, like a lot of my people know, most people know, but like as a big whole, like probably not a lot of people like knew like I ever used to do adult content, and like some of my army stories like have never came out. But like between this one and that one, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of stuff for you there. So it's interesting where this is gonna go and just like the different as for me personally, like on this is an entire journey of where this particular podcast could go or where it's gonna go guest wise. I keep getting a lot of like, well, what if like me and like two of my friends, and I'm like not yet, or I'm like, or like people are trying to like transform what kind of content it is. I'm like, that's not what I envision for it. My vision is pretty open and broad right now, but like I know what it's really not currently, but I don't fully know what it is.
Right.
Like when you were like, oh, I'll come back after just a conversation of this morning, you're like, oh, I'll come do one. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like I'm way more open to doing, especially with people that like, this rolls with. I'm way more open to repeat people versus like a bunch of new people. So like anytime I find that like you are now on the roster of like episodes, you're gonna see a lot of Jade. Get used to it. Another person that was on here, Georgia, you're gonna probably see a lot of Georgia. I have a few guys coming. Don't worry. It's just I think we might have had this conversation, or I've definitely had this conversation a billion times in life. But it's a lot harder for guys to commit to something like this because it's kind of weird. Like, hey, bro, come sit on my couch. It's like it's like a weird thing, right? So it's like a safety weirdness thing for women of you guys wanting to be safe and comfortable, but then it's like a guy thing of like I have a lot of guys and we're talking about doing it and just finding the time, but it's also like none of them like I don't feel like there's some of them that are like fully ready to pull the bullet.
Right.
It's hard to like, and it could be like I don't really know. Like I understand a woman's reason for like maybe not pulling the trigger, but like for the guy's reason, I'm just like, bro.
Well, it also could be.
It's just hard.
Not for nothing. Like here, it's It's almost like when I meeting up with a friend, going to lunch or having coffee or hanging out at the park. Like, as we talk, women, like we just, we got lots to say. And for guys, I mean, realistically, I mean, at least what's perceived anyway. You guys don't just sit around and talk. You know, you're doing something. You know.
Yeah.
Sports. You're watching them, playing them, or you're playing video games, or like you're doing another thing. You're not just sitting here looking at each other, talking.
Yeah, and that's like so. I know I mentioned earlier in the episode like how we're gonna have an episode. The theme is gonna be like a Thirsty Thursday vibe. I'm gonna come up with a. It's gonna be the same format, but we're gonna be really thirsty and turning up. But there's gonna be like a vibe to it. So like there's gonna be like various drinking games. I'm gonna probably do like a timer. It's gonna be a little bit longer of an episode, but it's gonna be like a timer on it, and we will play different games and do different things. And really, the goal is really just to do this, but it's gonna be elevated because we're gonna be drinking. But like so, I'm trying to do something like that where like not like an activity sounds fucking like a camp, but some sort of like thing like for like me and another dude to do.
Yeah. Well, and like that.
Check out my OnlyFans for that one. No, I'm shedding. But just like something that it's like it is. I think it's easier for two women to sit and kind of have this conversation, mm-hmm. Or if like it was like one of my bros, maybe it would be this like this would be a little bit easier.
Closer
but like a stranger. Like as a male female, this is easier as like as strangers for whatever weird reason because I'm a talker anyways. But like if I don't get a guy that's like equally a talker, I don't want to like force out the conversation in that person. Right. So I want to find something that like doesn't totally distract us, but also like gives us that thing. So it could I don't know what that looks like yet. I have a couple, like I said, I have a few people in the inbox that are ready to do it. Some of it's just like scheduling issues and stuff, and not everybody's schedule is super as flexible, so we'll see how that goes. I'm excited to see where this goes. I look forward to new people, but I also look forward to like you repeating and hopefully anyone else that comes on that I really vibe with that repeat, and for me to just do this dragon motion. I'm a
little community, you know?
Yeah, just
our people.
And I think it would be really cool at one point to really just widen this entire shot out and me not like take up like 2 spots, but like really widen this spot up, cram a bunch of people on the couch, put the microphones in like in the front part of us. I think this audio, I did a test earlier, sounds really great. But obviously if there'd be more people, it would be backed up. But like even just take the left and right person have microphones on. We're all just like have big conversation and maybe just one camera. I probably always do like the 3 cameras just for like these little like.
Getting me.
For these all little things. Look at these guys. Look at this. You're not tripping. You're not tripping. Imagine getting to this part of the episode. Oh God. And I messed it all up.
All right then.
Yeah. All right, cool. We're still recording. Yeah, so I just started pushing a lot of buttons. So if you got to that part of the episode and didn't have a seizure, then, well,
hey,
good for you, because that was bad. That was wild. That's what you get on this. I'm going to end this episode, and then we might do another one. So stay tuned. Thanks for coming. Thanks again for this. Until next time. Whenever this drops, it drops. And whenever you drop, you drop.
Bye.
I'm going to say stupid shit every time.